Packers' top trade candidates ahead of 2024 training camp. The Green Bay Packers' off-season strategy has primarily focused on acquiring and retaining talent. General Manager Brian Gutekunst has largely adhered to the team's long-standing philosophy of building through the draft, with only a few notable deviations. Part of this strategy involves identifying players who could be traded to acquire additional draft capital. Whether it's a significant move like trading Aaron Rodgers or Davante Adams for high draft picks, or a smaller deal like acquiring a 7th-round pick for offensive lineman Cole Van Lanen last year, Gutekunst consistently finds ways to enhance their draft assets. The Packers aim to build on last season's promising performance, but their consistent success stems from a willingness to adhere to their philosophy. This includes the annual practice of trading away a few players. As training camp approaches, it's an opportune moment to assess which players Gutekunst might consider trading. From well-known defensive standouts to lesser-known assets, here are 3 of the top trade candidates based on salary cap implications and the current roster composition. RB A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon recently signed a 1-year deal to remain with the Packers, but this does not preclude him from being traded. His contract includes minimal guaranteed money, with just under $200,000 allocated for his signing bonus. On one hand, this is a cost-effective deal for the Packers. While Dillon was less efficient last season, he still amassed over 800 total yards from scrimmage and should remain durable after 4 years as a complimentary back. Keeping him on the roster would result in a reasonable cap hit. However, the Packers drafted Marshawn Lloyd in the 3rd round and signed Josh Jacobs in free agency. These moves suggest the team may not be confident in Dillon's fit with their future offensive plans. Jacobs is expected to be the lead back, with Lloyd likely serving as the number 2 early in the season. This would position Dillon as the 3rd running back, with promising young options like Emmanuel Wilson and Jarvian Howard, potentially pushing Dillon out of the rotation. If either Wilson or Howard impresses in camp, Dillon could find himself on the trade block. OG Royce Newman. Offensive line depth is always a valuable asset in the NFL, and while the Packers have questions surrounding their offensive line, they also have an abundance of options. Currently, they have 14 linemen on the roster, with 11 making the initial 53-man roster last year. Royce Newman might find himself on the cusp of being both useful and expendable as the team decides which lineman to keep. The 26-year-old started 16 games as a rookie in 2021, but his role has diminished each season since. Last year, he made just 2 starts, played 183 total offensive snaps, and received a PFF grade of only 44.3. The Packers continue to invest heavily in their offensive line. This offseason, they drafted 3 linemen, including 1st-round pick Jordan Morgan, and signed Andre Dillard. There could be teams in need of starting experience on the offensive line who might be interested in trading for Newman. Given the Packers' depth and Newman's contract status, trading him could yield an additional draft pick as he enters the final year of his contract. DT Kenny Clark. This is the most significant potential trade. While it's not necessarily an argument for trading Kenny Clark, his situation makes him a prime candidate if the Packers seek to acquire significant draft capital. Clark is still performing at a high level, setting a career high with 7.5 sacks last season. However, he will turn 29 during the season and is in the final year of his contract. The Packers already have $13.7 million allocated to Clark next season through a void year on his contract. The question is whether they are willing to invest the additional money needed to extend his contract. Clark has indicated that contract extension talks have occurred, and Gutekunst has expressed a desire to keep him. Despite mutual interest in an extension, Clark's situation is reminiscent of Davante Adams, who was traded to the Raiders when he was around the same age and up for a new contract. If Clark's contract demands exceed what the Packers are willing to pay, trading him could be a strategic move to replenish their draft picks. As the Packers prepare for the 2024 training camp, evaluating these trade candidates is crucial. Whether it's leveraging Dillon's talent, Newman's experience, or Clark's elite performance, these moves could align with the Packers' long-term strategy of building through the draft and maintaining a competitive roster.